We're live. Welcome, bienvenidos, and welcome to a Saturday afternoon episode interrupting the Red River rivalry, where University of Texas, I believe, is winning at least 21-3. At least last time I checked, could be different now. But this is Sayonara baseball, not the Red River rivalry simulcast. My name is Brandon Payne-Beiser. Kazuki Kiba here with me. We just wrapped up the divisional round with the Cleveland Guardians pulling a New York Mets and beating the Detroit Tigers with a grand slam. And we'll start there. So same process as always. We got the American League. We got two divisional series to review. Then we'll get to the ALCS preview after the break. National League, two divisionals to review. NLCS to preview. Go to the American League, and we're going to start in Cleveland. Detroit forced a game 5, but they couldn't go all the way. But the first 3 games were all shutouts. So game 1 was the Lane Thomas 3-run home run off his first ever postseason at bat. 5 runs were scored by Cleveland before the first out was recorded by the team. They won 7-0. Game 2 was pretty much the exact opposite. There were no runs until the 9th inning. Kerry Carpenter broke it with a 3-run home run, 3-0 off Clase. Now, I want to stop here. When you saw that home run off Carpenter, did you think like I should be worried about Manuel Clase or no?
Oh, 100%. His control wasn't there. He let a couple runners on, and there's something about Kerry Carpenter that at bat seemed like he was on his cutter and he took him deep. And then as soon as he hit that ball, it was just gone.
Oh, that ball was out of there. No matter that, out of there. That was a big home run. But yeah, I just noticed it looked like like you said, it just didn't look something that looked like we had seen before. Like the previous series, he was lights out, no questions asked. And then I was like, what? You don't see Clase give up a home run like that. Like it just looked like he just kind of served it up, and Carpenter just took it for a ride. On the other hand, Tarek Skubal showed why he's probably the Cy Young winner in this game. Goes 7 strong, only used 2 bullpen pitchers, which, there was the off day situation, which I'm not sure we're getting too much, but there's an off day, so you got to play around a little bit. And they shut him out. Go to Detroit, and Detroit does the same thing again. 3-0 shutout. Green, Torkelson playing till he runs. Detroit's bullpen goes the distance. It was a bullpen game for Detroit. Cleveland only used 1 fewer pitcher, even though they started Alex Cobb, which makes me think like Cleveland was just taxing. Like they were just trying to figure out like what's going to work here. But at this point, I don't think Cleveland's pitching was the problem. It was their offense. Like their offense was just stale. It just didn't do anything. After the first inning in game 1, it just felt stale.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the whole theme for Cleveland until we get to next game, obviously.
Right. So let's get to game 4, because game 4 was a good preface for what happened in game 5. Game 4, you had Ramirez on the Guardians, Zach McKinstry, former Dodger, on the Tigers, trading home runs. Tigers get bailed out in the bottom of the 6th after 2 strikeouts, because that could have gone the sideways real fast, but it didn't. Did you know who David Fry was before this game?
Yeah, I try to pick him up in fantasy, so that's the only reason why I know this major utility player who plays every position.
Right. He is like the Willie Bloomquist of the Cleveland Guardians. Like he'll play everything except pitcher. He hits a go-ahead home run in the 7th. The Tigers fail to score in the bottom of the 8th, even though they had multiple chances. And then David Fry does it again with a squeeze bunt in the 9th, which is, again, do it all for everything. Last minute by the Tigers.
I mean, that was a key run. If they did not score, that would have been a tie ball game in the 9th, because Clase again gave up that run again.
Right, so. Clase gave up a troublesome run in game 2, game 4. So now we have 2-2, and they're going back to Cleveland. They just finished up. It's Saturday at about 5:30 Eastern, and it just wrapped up. Kerry Carpenter starts it off hot for Detroit. Matt Boyd, former Tiger, now the Guardians, taken out quickly after 2 innings of work. But we get to the 5th. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch a lick of this game. I was locked in on college football, kind of, among other things. But what happened in the 5th inning?
Yeah, so I was watching this one. So in the 5th inning, he gave up line drive single to both Quan and the previous hitter. I believe it was Fry. So they had two on, and then no. It was there was two singles.
I'll try to find the box. I'll try to find the box.
9-1 hitter. So
play by play.
And then the second one was David Fry. He hit a soft ground ball to second base, but because it was a little bit closer to first base, it became a fielder's choice essentially. And then there was no room to put Ramirez anywhere because his base is loaded. And then what happened was Tarek Skubal probably got amped up and hit him in the hand, resting like the left wrist or hand area right there.
So yeah,
Jimenez.
Rocchio struck out.
Yeah,
with
Jimenez.
1 on. Then Fry singles on a soft ground ball to Colt Keith. Jimenez goes to 3rd.
Yep. So his base is loaded.
Juan to 2nd.
Yep.
So the bases are now loaded. And then what
Jose
happens
Ramirez
next?
Gets hit by a pitch, like the
Ramirez
first pitch.
Gets hit. And according to MLB's predictive analytics, Cleveland had a 68.9% win probability after the hit by pitch. So from the beginning of this inning to pretty much after the Ramirez hit by pitch, their win probability jumped 25%. And then a person who, by the way, had never had a postseason at bat before the game in game 1, where he hit a 3-run home run, Lane Thomas, out of absolutely nowhere, hits a gut-punching home run.
I mean, and the broadcaster kind of called it out too. Like, he likes to swing in the first pitch, and then that was a poor decision for Skubal to throw a fastball right down the middle.
Right. That'd be Brian Anderson and Jeff Francoeur on the call for this game, I believe.
Yeah.
And so BA knows, because BA's the local announcer for the Brewers. Like, he knows, like, if someone's gonna eat you up, he can see it. Francoeur knows it too. Like, they both know if you're gonna jump on a pitch, because they see it with Milwaukee. I mean, Francoeur sees it with the Braves a lot, and obviously BA sees it all the time with the Brewers. The Brewers got players who jump on the ball so quick, and obviously traveling around with national calls for TBS for years. Brian Anderson knows this. Like, we saw it in the first game. Lane Thomas jumped on that home run when he hit that home run for the 3-run home run. Skubal gave him the pitch he wanted. Just like, we talked about Carpenter taking that. Was it a cutter? You think he took a cutter, a loaded cutter, way out in game 2. He's sitting on a pitch. Lane Thomas sat on the fastball, but it was the first pitch, so you have to worry about it. He was waiting for a fastball, first pitch fastball, took Skubal yard, and that's all they need. That's it. I mean, that's a gut punching home run.
I mean, they were back and forth, and Tigers. The theme of this series is Tigers had so many chances to score, and they just didn't cash in. They had a bases loaded in 7th inning. It was a 2-5 game.
Bases loaded in the 6th. Kerry Carpenter struck out in the 7th. 7th, yeah, like you said, they didn't come through, and Lane Thomas played another run on a infield single, and that kind of sealed it. I mean, that was game over for them. It was 6-3 at that point.
Yeah, and then they added more additional runs in the bottom 8, and then Tigers did fight. They're a gritty team, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough. I believe they had their chances in Game 4, and as soon as I knew they blew Game 4, kind of knew that they weren't going to take the series.
Right, and this is Game 5. It's series over. Cleveland wins. We're done. But let's review this kind of on an overall level. I think what will allow Cleveland to win. Let's talk. It's the utility players: Lane Thomas, Brian Rocchio, David Fry, like guys who are just coming up there, and like, we're gonna move you all around. We're gonna change your batting order. Like, you're just gonna fit in the lineup and do it. That's a Stephen Vogt special for you. Like, if that's the way Stephen Vogt's gonna manage he could be there for that. That could be a very successful way of doing things for a
And
division where every game is up for grabs.
and I think what made Cleveland better was their defense. Like Joaquin Noel, he's not the fastest guy, but he has a cannon of arm that challenged it. And they couldn't score many
Another
runs.
utility player in that list of utility players talked about last episode. Their pitching was not great.
Starting pitching besides Matt Boyd, I would say, was kind of shaky at best. I mean, they were taken out very quickly. It's the bullpen, right? The four horsemen. And
right. The vote had a quicker hook than I think a lot of managers normally would. I'm concerned about Clase. Let's be real here. I mean, you kind of squeaked by one time and you gave up the game on the other one. But you're right. Defense wins ball games. And they won ball games. The defense won a big ball game here. And I think that's defense utility players. Depth wins championships. We've seen that for years and years and years. Depth wins championships. Depth wins them a championship. On the Detroit side, no one thought they would be here. Nobody.
I mean, no one thought them since the trade deadline would be here.
Right. And then they not only won the first series, they go up against their division rival and push it to 5. 3 games being shutouts between the two teams. I didn't think I would have to say that the pitching of the Detroit Tigers, they rode it for a long time. And the fact that Cleveland had to get to their best pitcher to win is pretty remarkable. I will say Detroit needs to score more runs. Like they only scored they scored 3-3-4-3.
Yeah, I mean that shows they lack the firepower, right? Like a star power hitting.
I mean, we're going to talk about the Yankees that scoring a lot of runs next thing, but you can't do that against that Guardians lineup, because the Guardians lineup, any person could go yard, any person can get on base. I mean, they are 1-9 dangerous. That's why they win the division all the time. So I think that's why. But we'll do that. But I think Detroit Tigers surprise song. I think that's good. Like we needed another moment like that. We've had that several times in the past several years. Will they be that good next year? I don't know who they got for the Flaherty trade, or if they got how the prospects they got, or the draft picks or something. You can't trade draft picks in Major League Baseball. But
they still have their farm. Like
their farm is so deep because they've had so many bad years.
Yep, Jackson Joby should be a good starting pitcher, and then they have, I believe, Peralta's the other pitching prospect.
Right, and they also didn't use Maeda. They didn't use a lot of players.
Well, Maeda was just bad.
Right, bad. Right, and we talked about last time for the Yankees using Stroman, and Stroman didn't make the roster. So there's obviously depth for the Tigers to play around with, mostly in their minor league system. And they could be back here, it could be next year. Because remember, there were 4 teams. All 4 teams in this division were up until like the last week, like in it. Twins dropped out first, and the Royals, Guardians, and Tigers all stuck around. But this is slowly becoming a very competitive division. If the Tigers keep it up, this is not a cakewalk division anymore for anybody.
We gotta mention one elephant in the room on why they're standing. Win column is so high, and you have to point out the Chicago White Sox. They got to face them at least 13, 14 times a year.
Well, I forgot that. I forgot the White Sox exist because they're so bad. Like the White Sox are bad. I mean, talk about a former Guardian making, trying to salvage a sinking ship in Grady Sizemore. Boy. But yes, every team in the Central, I forgot to say 5 teams, had a cakewalk. Like they could just roll over the White Sox. If that's going to be the case going forward, we could arguably see 3 teams here again next year, because everything's to beat each other out so many times. So I don't know. Detroit, I hope they stick around. I hope Cleveland keeps doing what they're doing. And obviously, now we're talking about Kansas City. So Kansas City and the Yankees went 4 games. Kansas City won 1. New York won the series 3-1. So let's go to game 1 in the Bronx. The game turned on that weird, strange pop-up slide by Jazz Chisholm. He scored because he should have been out. He should have not been out. On replay, it was pretty clear that he popped up and was off the bag and he got tagged. Before that, like there were multiple ways he was probably out, but replay said the play stands. We know what that means. So we're done. Holmes, Canley, and Weaver won the game. Hill was the only blemish. Bobby Witt Jr. going hitless is never good. Aaron Judge striking out 3 times. That is not good. The Royals bullpen was rough in this game.
They just walked too many guys.
Yeah, it was that was what I noticed about this game. It was like, what? Where did this come from? I was like, Cole Reagans is when he pitched game 2, like he goes 4 innings. You can't have your bullpen do that. Urseg is again rough going game 2, and I'm like, what? Their consistency is just out the window in games 1 and 2 for this group. So game 2, Cole Reagans throws 87 pitches in 4 innings. Are you concerned by that efficiency? I thought that was a lot.
I mean, he was solid against the Orioles, so I think it's you got to give credit to the Yankees hitters. They were really patient with him. And
oh yeah, they made. I mean, that's an average of almost 22 pitches an inning. That's a lot.
Yeah, so props to them. They made him work.
Yeah, Rodon got work too, 72 over 3 2/3. So it's not.
Well, the crazy part about Rodon, though, I would say, is the first 3 innings he looked electric.
Right. Of the 11 outs he recorded, 7 were strikeouts.
He was electric. It's just that he fell apart in the 4th, and that's where the whole bullpen management kind of comes in. And we all know our good friend Aaron Boone's not good at managing the bullpen and does not know how to take out
the right bullpen arms. I mean, they throw 4 hits scoreless baseball. Offense did not pick them up. Perez, Pham, Hampson, and Garcia score all the runs. Garcia went 4 for 5 in the leadoff spot. So Michael Garcia was having a ball. Bobby Witt Jr. still hitless. Game 3, back at Kauffman in Kansas City. Lugo walks 4 in a no decision. That's a little bit concerning. Stanton picks them all up. RBI double. Bobby Witt Jr. finally gets a hit, but not enough. New York wins. Simple as that. Game 4. What a pitcher's duel. Michael Wacha and Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole goes 7, allowing 1 on 6 hits with no walks. Michael Wacha pitched a good game. Like he held his own for the veteran that he is. Again, it was Urseg who gave up the ship here. Gave up the costly RBI hit to Stanton, and
he came in pretty early too in the game.
Right. He came in the 5th.
Yeah.
Is that stolen base where he is slow on the stolen bases.
That's where I have to complain about the TBS broadcast was Bob Costas. Like he just talked about Stanton not being able to run like 20 times in a broadcast.
And he forgot that if you can run only if there's space, and Ursa gave him tons of space.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Gurriel wasn't even guarding the bag, he just took off, and then Salvi did not have a good throw either, and he was already in there. I was shocked that he stole a base, to be honest with you.
I mean, Aaron Judge was such an opposite to Stanton's performance here. He went 0 home runs.
That's like every year, though.
Right, a slash of 154, 389, 208, 31. Yankees bullpen. Luke Weaver. This is in this series, right? In this series?
This whole series,
He had 3 saves, 5 strikeouts. He never gave a run. 4 and a third. Clay Holmes, 5 innings pitched, 3 strikeouts, 3 hits, 1 walk, no runs allowed, earned runs allowed. That's how you win. Depth wins. We talked about this in the Guardians game. Depth wins. Gleyber Torres, Juan Soto drove runs off of Michael Wacha. Aaron Judge finally got a hit with an RBI double, and then add an RBI from Stanton, 3-1. And that's all you really needed. There was the Michael Garcia, Anthony Volpe, don't touch me like the way you touch me. Don't get so close to me, as the song would say. The bench is like cleared and like crowded, but nothing was really done. Jazz Chisholm was angry. We saw the sour side of a Bobby Witt Jr. series. Same with Vinny P. So Vinny P did not do so great in the series. And the Royals just did not generate runs, and their pitching was not helping them either. It was so inconsistent. And, in 4th LCS in 8 years, but seeking their first World Series since 2009's New York Yankees. That's what we have. Reflect on this series. I was sad that the Royals were so inconsistent. That just made me sad. Because they were a good team. What that team did this year of just like taking a bunch of random things and making them work.
I mean, it just shows that if you invest smart, you could make it so far. And they did was Lugo and Waka, right? So
right. Lugo, Waka, and Cole Reagans were the three pitchers they put their money behind in the postseason. Two of those pitchers are journeymen, true journeymen.
Yeah, it was a big deal, and it paid off. And then for the Yankees, I mean, they got Juan Soto, and they did reinforce that.
It paid off. And their bullpen showed why they were good. I
mean, Luke Weaver, I mean, he was on the Mariners last year, didn't do that great. And then he comes to the Yankees. Props to the pitching coach, Matt Blake. He fixed that guy, and now he's closing games for the Yankees.
And the Mariners were so desperate for bullpen arms this year, they could have used him, but they couldn't. Like I said, they couldn't get him around. They couldn't get him over. They couldn't get all the technique fixed. And Matt Blake got him to where he needed to go, and became a dominant closer for them. After all the closers who have been shipped off from the Yankees over the years or left the Yankees, here we go again.
And the fact that Clay Holmes blew 13 saves this year,
and he goes scoreless in the postseason and around the postseason.
Hey, they have a lot of weapons, so
we reached the ALCS. Neither of these teams failed to make it this far last year. So first time
one of them was even here.
Right. Oh.
Actually, both of them weren't even here.
All four teams that played the ALCS the previous season did not make it to the next year. The Diamondbacks, Rangers, Phillies,
Houston,
in Houston, gone. So we go to this series. Yankees, Guardians. Where's Albert Bell? Where's Eddie Murray? Like, I need old school 90s Guardians. Sandy Alomar Jr., Roberto give me all that.
Sandy's on the staff right now.
He's on the staff. And then who was on the Yankees? You got your Bernie Williams, you got David Wells, you got Clemens, you got Jeter. I mean, you got this is a classics game.
Yeah, I think the last time they faced off was 2007, funny enough, too, in the ALDS.
Right.
Do you remember that mosquito incident? Was Jabba Chamberlain?
Right. That was when he got dude, this in the middle of the bees, right? He had to write that they had to stop. It was they had to stop pitching for it, and then to bring up the air gun, the filter to get the because something on Jabba was something was on Jabba's shirt or something, or in the pitching area around the mound, that just attracted all these bugs, and that was ridiculous. But yes, so Jabba Chamberlain, another legend from this rivalry. This for those of a certain age, this was a huge rivalry in the 90s and 2000s. I mean, these teams were always getting far in the playoffs. But now we have these two teams who have come at this very differently. Like, the Guardians have one real power bat in Ramirez, but also they have probably the best lineup of the full lineup of the two. They have a top to bottom 1 to 9. This lineup is great for the Guardians. But let's start with the Yankees first. Giancarlo Stanton needs to go ride the wave here, and Judge needs to get on the wave. Like, that's kind of the offensive thing. Juan Soto's been consistently where he needs to be. If he goes off, he goes off. Volpe, Wells, all those people need to keep going and going and going. Like, the Yankees need other supporting cast of players.
I would say the cautionary tale from this series is, because of all the walks, like, they got to score runs, but Yankees didn't really hit that much outside of Giancarlo, to be honest. So they need to all step up. Like, Wells did not do well this series. Same with Judge. It was just Glaber and Giancarlo really carrying the show, and then Soto here and there. And then if it's not for the bullpen, you wouldn't have made it this far.
Yeah, their offense was very Tiger-like. You scored just enough amount of runs. Like, they didn't really. Their margin of victory was 2-1, 2-1. I'm not sure that's gonna do enough against the Guardians. Like, you got to put some runs up against the Guardians. because the
And
Guardians
early too. You don't
right.
want to get to the starting pitching
Yeah.
first before the bullpen.
The Guardians scored 5 runs in the fifth in the last game. It was 5 runs in the fifth in game 5 and 5 runs before the first out in game 1 against the Tigers. So they obviously do it again. The Guardians keys to victory. Emmanuel Clase needs to get right. Just calm, settle, and pitch that close the game. I thought he did a little bit better, obviously, in game 5. I mean, he came in,
he went multi-inning. Yeah, he was pretty good.
multi-inning save, got back on the horse, got back, to his winning ways. And then the remaining bullpen arms, you just stay the course. Because like the era of the 90s, when the Yankees were in their heyday, like you said, get to the 5th, you have a 6th, a 7th, an 8th, and a 9th in the postseason, and you're settled. This team probably must put all that together, because we've seen that Vogt is a quick hook. So give me an inning, you're good. Give me an inning, you're good. It's like he's gonna find a way. But on the other side, their starters need to get to that point. Like, give me 3 or 4 innings, and I can manage the rest. I don't know the schedule yet. I don't know how many are there off days built in again?
Yeah, so it's gonna be. So they're gonna start Monday, I think, at this point. Monday, Tuesday off, and then 3 games in Cleveland, if necessary, and then off, and then 2 games back in New York.
Okay, so it's 2-3-2. Okay,
yeah,
we're at best of 7 now. Okay, and then to the offensive side. Well, first off, to the defense. Defense needs to keep it up. Their defense is great. We talk about their defense. Defense holds teams to a low productivity. Do that again. To the offensive side, Lane Thomas, be the wish that we all want you to be again. You generated 7 runs in or 8 runs, at least 8 runs in the ALDS. Do it again. Just be the guy that you need to be. Wait for that pitch and just send it. Stephen Kwan came back to life, and I like Stephen Kwan. I think he's a great player. He came back to life. Keep going. Jose Ramirez, you are an absolute beast at the plate. Do it
very
again.
underrated. He should have been 40-40.
Right. Do it again. And then the last part about this is by gosh, that utility collection we talked about last time. That utility collection is amazing. Like, keep doing it. Just keep that utility collection up. But you looked at some advanced metrics here. What should we all look at when we're watching this game from, beyond, like in between the lines, so to speak, about these teams? You mentioned vertical bat angle.
Yeah, it's about, because like playoff nowadays is all about matchups. It's about like, this is coming from Fangraphs, analyzing like a swing diversity across teams lineup, and basically the better versatility you have in the bat path. So the way people swing, whether it's uppercut, merry-go-round, or kind of like Kwan, where it's more flat contact based, it makes it harder for pitchers to game plan against like a lineup, because the way you attack also differs from like, how do you like pitch them? Do you pitch them up, down? What spin? Do you go left and right? The east to west movement. So there's a lot of these like metric that's going on, and obviously this is probably not a super complete metric to evaluate, but it kind of gives you kind of a good idea about how to look through the overall lineup, how they swing, how they approach the at bats, and then from there kind of look at the pitching side should look at how to approach them. And from looking at this whole stat, Dodgers clearly has the highest VBA.
Right, that's inflated by Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. But when we're looking at this series of the top teams, the Yankees are much higher than the Guardians. And Detroit was second best in the league.
They were just too unpredictable the way they swung.
Right. So the question is, can the fact that the Guardians were such, they have a completely different style than the Yankees, how is that going to play it further? If we go deeper into it, because this is 7 games. This is a best of 7. You got to win 4 now, not 3. That one more game. We don't make predictions. We try to make predictions, but I think that's going to be an important statistic, is how these teams generate runs. The Yankees generate runs usually by the long ball or large hits, doubles, home runs.
Yep.
Guardians got lucky. And that got lucky. They changed it up because they had to beat a team like the Tigers, who were so unpredictable in the previous series. And they got Lane Thomas to go absolute yard twice and really be defining.
I think the key for each offense, I mean, Guardians, they just need to keep on tacking on base hits, like line to line, go line to line. Yankees, they just need to walk a lot and make sure they get to the key guys like Giancarlo, Judge, or Soto, and then hopefully they, get the major runs in. Yep.
I will say, look at prediction. How many games do you think this series goes?
Ooh, I think it's gonna go 5 or 6. My gut feeling says the Yankees. I think Yankees is a probably way better team.
I didn't ask you to make no predictions out, but Yankees in 6. You think Yankees in 5 or 6? I think I'll do Guardians in 6. Just because I think once you get past game 3, it's a toss-up. If whoever has the game after 3 games, I think wins this series. I think the Guardians. Who hosts game 1? Does the Yankees host game 1?
Yeah, Yankees have a home field advantage unless they face the Dodgers for the entire playoff format. So game 1 sounds like it's not announced yet, but my gut says it's Rodon, and then game 2 back to Cole. 3 probably Schmidt, and 4 they're gonna probably play around based on where they're at in the
right. And for the Guardians, it really doesn't matter. Other than like Matt Boyd. Like, when's Matt Boyd gonna pitch?
I mean, Tanner Bybee was a big
right. Tanner Bybee. Let's take it back. You get a step back here. Tanner Bybee really showed us what, I can hang, because he's a young guy. He was hanging with these players.
I mean, he became the number 1 guy after
when Bieber went out. He was hanging, and I did not really, like I said, I really still know very little about Tanner Bybee, but when he came in game 1, he did something. He had a cushion, but he came in and did something. And I would say that matters. That matters a whole lot. But Guardians, we both think 6 games, just a split of who's going to win. So 6-game series. All right. We covered the American League. Take a deep breath. Take a quick break. Check this called Red River Rivalry, which I'm not going to, I promise. And after the break, it's National League time, which means, yes, Philadelphia Phillies fans, we have to talk about the demise of your season at the hands of Francisco Lindor. Today's episode of Sayonara Baseball is presented by our friends at Anchor, the Spotify for podcasters. Anchor over the platform helps us deliver you this podcast wherever you listen to your pirate podcast. Even though we do have it on video, the audio portion needs to go somewhere. Anchor is available at no cost to its users and is available to access on the go or from the comforts of your own home, just like Kazuki and I are today. To get started with creating your own work on Anchor, visit anchor.fm/start. Welcome back. Kazuki and I are here doing our Division Series review and our LCS preview. We have done the American League. It is time for the National League, and we are going to the Battle of the Banks, the Battle of City versus Citizens, New York versus Philadelphia. The Mets, I don't know how they did it. I really don't. But they scored at least 4 runs in all 4 games, and they won the series 3-1. Game 1, Kodai Senga comes in, pitches 2 innings, and what do the Mets do, Kazuki? Who do they turn the ball over to?
David Peterson,
the shutdown guy from the previous series, the guy who saved them at the end of the regular season. And what do you know? He makes it happen again. Wheeler does great for 7 innings, and the bullpen of the Phillies absolutely craters. And the Mets win 6-2 at Citizens Bank Park.
Yeah, I mean, I'll mention another pitcher later in this other series, but Wheeler was dominant. 111 pitches, 7 innings, 9K.
And he gets nothing.
Yeah.
Gets absolutely nothing out of it. I am furious.
And
guy's a Cy Young level pitcher, and absolutely just no credit.
Jeff Hoffman became Craig Kimbrell in the series.
Right. It was so bad.
Yeah.
We go to game 2.
Infinity. Yep.
In game 2, it went down to the wire, and Mark Vientos ties it up And then Nick Castellanos saves them in the bottom of the ninth inning, and they eke out a win. But
Yeah,
again,
this
Phillies
series was,
bullpen. What is going on here?
yeah, they blew every chance, right? Like they were Mets were up 3-0, and then Harper was a 2-run shot and against Severino, and then Castellanos punished him. Castellanos, I think, is that hitter when he focuses, like he punishes like really mistakes.
Oh, he's a lock it in kind of guy. Lock it in, and he's lock it in. He's out. He's
like Adolis Garcia of last year, right? Like,
right.
Punishes anything that's a mistake.
And the Mets are gonna Mets. They're gonna make the game really close, and then whoops.
I mean, the funny part was a 6-4 bottom line day on Mastromon, and I kind of had a feeling that Vientos was going to tie it up. It's just that feeling was the Mets now that whenever there's a tight ball game, they're going to find a way to tie the ball.
We saw that in Atlanta Braves game. We had to. It's going to happen again. All right, game 3. We go up to the other bank, Citi Field, Queens, New York, and Sean Manaea for how ridiculed and put down he has been ever since he was in his glory days with his top performing self with the Athletics. He goes 7 strong, gives up 1 earned run on 3 hits, 2 walks, and 6 Ks in 91 pitches. And you could see how happy and joyful and energized he was that he did this, and how much the Mets and the Mets fans were like, yes, we got the guy to do what we had hoped for.
Yeah, and not to mention, Mets has not been played home for 2 weeks, the past 2 weeks, because of the whole playoff round. And
right, because they went to Atlanta, then Milwaukee, and then had to play the first 2 in Philadelphia. And the homecoming goes to Sean Manaea, and he delivers. Pete Alonso, Jesse Winker get home runs on the board. Iglesias drives in 2 RBI, and the Phillies blew it in the 6th. They had a runner on first and second. Harper strikes out. Nick Castellanos double play to end the inning. You had the runs. You had the people on base, and you blew it. And we saw this in the Tigers series. You can't do this. You can't do this in the postseason. When you have an opportunity to score, you got to score. This is my first episode. I meant to say score to win, but I said I'm saying win to score. But you have to score to win. And also, don't do this. This is bad. Because we go to game 4. Because the Mets won 7-2. They have pushed the Phillies to the brink. They go to game 4. First inning. Bases loaded. Mets strike out twice. And as soon as you saw that, what did you think going to happen?
I had no doubt about the Mets. I thought Phillies could make it close, but I wasn't sure at the time, to be honest with you. I kind of knew Mets kind of had it in the bag. Just
and then the second inning, Lindor strikes out runners on first and second. So it's just not.
Yeah.
Phillies get on the board with an error by Vientos, that wasn't good. Bottom 5th, and the Mets, mess it up again. They have runners on first and second, failure to advance those players. So now we are stuck. The Mets are stuck.
Yeah.
They get to the 6th inning, and I still think Howie Rose's call is being heard somewhere in this world right now. That call was epic. That home run into the Citi Field faithful was epic. Grand slam. We saw it today with Lane Thomas. You hit a grand slam to break up a potential game clinch, a series clinching game. It means a lot. And Francisco Lindor hit a go-ahead grand slam in the 6th inning, and the Phillies had their chance in the 9th. Couldn't do it.
Against Edwin Diaz, who's been struggling this whole
the Mets send the Phillies packing. And again, in June of this year, this game was not supposed to happen. This team was terrible. The Tigers were horrible up until August. The Mets were the best second half team, one of the best second half teams in baseball. Not the best. And here we are to wrap up the series. The Phillies just flamed out. They stumbled over themselves every game, even the game they won.
Yeah, it's the bullpen. I mean, some heads gotta turn here, right? The bullpen.
Something's got to happen. They lost a couple bullpen arms, didn't they, throughout the year from last year to this year?
I mean, they got rid of in the trade Dominguez and Gregory Soto to the Baltimore Orioles, but then they weren't that good. I think they're dependent on Kirkering, Estevez, who they brought in, who gave up that grand slam to Lindor in this game, but they were banking on all those new arms and the Hoffman
And Hoffman.
And Hoffman, and he's an all-star. Hoffman and Straw, both all-stars, just blew up the game.
Just bad series. Series with them. Says that. And the Mets, obviously, good vibes. The vibes are so strong on this team. It is like, I hate that phrase, but gosh, it is so hard to ignore it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the Tigers, just the energy. Like, you just know that, like, whenever they're down, you just need to make sure you got to score more, or else you're going to lose that game. That's what it felt like the entire time watching this series.
Right. And we go from one divisional to another divisional. The Padres and the Dodgers went the distance. Ended last night on Friday, October 11th. Let's go to game one. Home run palooza. I don't know what to call it on that.
I mean, Otani's first postseason game ever, because the Angels never made it ever.
Right, and he drops a bomb. Machado drops a huge one, gets one out of the park too. Both bullpens were quite well because these were all early runs, and the difference was Tommy Edman. I wrote down because again, a guy who was cast off from a very good Cardinals team in the past, which is a cast off. Another cast off, Michael Kopech, cast off. He has become a shutdown bullpen arm when he was supposed to be like this ace starter for the White Sox.
Yeah, Tommy John does that to you.
Right. Ends up on the Dodgers, and you're like, wait a second here. I got this idea. I got this David Price idea. Because David Price was like this for them in the past. We're going to stick you in the bullpen and just get to the end of the game.
To give credit to the White Sox, they did put him as a closer in the beginning of the season, so he was exclusively just bullpen this whole season.
Right, and because they figured it out. They figured it out, and obviously they traded him because he's worth more. He was worth a lot more in the trade block than anything they were keeping him for. They got rid of him. He looks like the Mountain Man now, and he just comes out, and David Price is a situation because David Price did this for this team years ago. I'm not mistaken on that, right? David Price was like this.
Yeah, 21. Yeah.
So David Roberts kind of knows. Mark Pryor kind of knows how to put this kind of concept together. Take a really good starter, they move to the bullpen, and if you got a few innings in them, just go with your best pitch. Just your best pitch for 2 or 3 innings at most, and we'll move you along. Like I said, Tommy Edman did the thing you need to do. Game 2. What the bleep happened?
I thought that's when I knew. I was like, oh, the Padres are back.
Manny Machado gives the speech number 86 out of the Vince Lombardi handbook, as Jimmy Valvano used to say. And they go absolute ham. They go hit 6 home runs in this game. Merrill hits an absolute rocket out of the park at Dodger Stadium.
Same as Tatis.
What happened?
Same with Tatis. And
Tatis with a bomb. They had 6 home runs against Dodgers pitching on the road. This does not happen.
And there was like a whole feud going on between Flaherty and Machado.
All right, was this a game where someone threw the ball at Profar in the outfield, which was just utterly stupid?
That was very much classless. That was trash.
Because I think wasn't after that happened is Machado took them under we had the speech in the dugout. Like, we can do this. And what do you know happens? I think they hit all their home runs. I feel like they hit all their home runs to the left field. Yeah, the home run was to left field. It was a Merrill home run left field. I was like, don't do that again.
Like they just like reap off of booze and bad energy. They just don't care. It's like this
game got chippy.
It's like the Dominican energy. They just don't give a shit. That's like whatever. That's like stuff to them.
Right. I mean, I put an explicit. I didn't write down the time code of that one, Kazuki. Nice job. But yeah, it was just that game. This game got chippy. It was like a playoff basketball game. Game 3, Petco. Really?
Yeah, the energy.
The Dodgers scored one. Then the Padres can't stop their scoring. They score six. Four more from the Dodgers in the third. A Teoscar Hernandez grand slam. Where was this last year, buddy? And
Hey, you gotta have a competent lineup, unlike the whatever team's lineup we're talking about here.
yeah, that team has not to be named. But that was that. I was surprised after 3 innings game the series was over.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Teoscar home run really brought up the energy for the Dodgers. I think because like then it was just shutout game for the Padres.
It was a shutout game, and because they lost 6-5, but game 4 when they're on the back against the wall, 8-0, an 8-0 drubbing at Petco, clocking out Dylan Cease pretty well. I mean, a bullpen game from the Dodgers surprised me, but
Brian Brazier, man, he's just shut down the top of the lineup. He went 1 2/3, and then like Dave Roberts, gotta give you props. Like he managed that bullpen very well.
Because it came back again in game 5.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, because game 5, it was the welcome to the Hernandez show. Kike Hernandez
and
Teoscar Hernandez.
On top of that, I think that it's the Japanese ratings that probably went up.
Japanese. So I believe Sarah Lang's post is this the first time there were 2 Japanese starting pitchers in a major league postseason game?
Yes, correct. Facing off each other.
Right. So is Yamamoto and Darvish first time MLB history of 2 Japanese pitchers. Everybody's asking each other, which just historic wise for the Dodgers to do this. Let me talk about the Dodgers because I think they mentioned Nomo.
Yeah.
Arguably, probably before these generation of pitchers, best, most well-known Japanese pitcher in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and our very first episode of the show, we covered this.
Right. And before I was on part of the show, but I mean, the Dodgers, even for me, going back to Dodgers history, great pitchers. I think like Fernando Valenzuela was like one of the first, was one of the first prominent Latin American pitchers to come to show.
He's the GOAT, yeah.
Absolute legend. So this, for the Dodgers to be a part of another pitching milestone, I love talking about Fernando Valenzuela. I'm sorry, that guy's amazing.
You could go on and on. He's great.
He was just the way that he carries himself in that for that team, and we obviously hope that for some pitcher on this team now. You see that for Clayton Kershaw to a certain degree with this team. He's not pitching in this lane, but for this to happen for this podcast, again, I'm not Japanese American. I grew up watching Japanese American baseball because Japanese baseball because I'm a Mariners fan. Ichiro being how significant he was to Mariners baseball, but to have that moment happen in the postseason, Yu Darvish, who came into this league with such fanfare for the Rangers years ago, ends up on the Padres. We never know what's going to happen, and then the Dodgers go out and pay the absolute hilt for Yamamoto to bring him over from Nippon Baseball League, bring him over. And game 5, and when we think about, a critical moment with another round like this, Ohtani versus Trout in the World Baseball Classic, like that's what it had that kind of feeling for American baseball. Like the eyes of the world of baseball came to America last night, just like they did in the World Baseball Classic when it was Ohtani versus Trout. We had it, and it delivered to a certain degree. It definitely delivered. I mean, Kike Hernandez and Teoscar Hernandez broke it up. But
it was basically Hernandez against the dads. Right. That's what the game was.
And Dodgers shut out the Padres for 24 straight innings, beginning with the 3rd inning of game 3. Between the bullpens in this game, only 1 hit was allowed, so it was all down to the starters. Yu Darvish cannot catch a break. He's 0-5 in playoff elimination games with 4 quality starts. Offense were no-shows across Texas, Chicago, San Diego. I mean, it was just not good. His team averaged 1 run per game in the games he's pitched in.
Yeah, all elimination game. Yep,
right,
27 2/3. Yep, total earned runs. Should we list out the 5 games?
Okay. So AL wild card game 2012, 6 2/3, and he put 2 earned runs. Rangers lose to the Orioles. World Series game 7.
Asterisk, by the way.
Why is the asterisk on this one again?
2017. It's the Astros.
Oh, it's the Astros. Dodgers lose the Astros. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an ugly game for him.
Yeah. 4 earned runs. 2020 National League wild card, Cubs lose to the Marlins. That was a tough series. That's the first series I covered with you. So we talked about the Marlins. Marlins could, eat someone up. They ate him up. Game 6 of the NLCS, Padres lose to the Phillies. Tight one, and then here we go. Lose 2-0.
Just 2 mistakes, honestly. Just 2 solo shots sealed the deal for them.
Ohtani couldn't beat him. He was 1 for 8. He's once every lifetime against Darvish. So
that's over 3 that Turk. I mean, Ohtani, that whole series, he was shut down after the Dylan Cease home run. Like, stat wise, Padres pitched him well. Like, he slashed a 200 batting average, 273 OBP, 350 slugging.
Yeah, it was not, in a carry almost 50%.
Yeah, I mean, all they had to do is throw Tanner Scott every game, and he just struck out all the time against Tanner Scott.
Well, now he's got to go against the Mets. And the Dodgers, the first team in 33 years to shut out their opponent in consecutive elimination games in order to advance to the World Series, the Championship Series, since the legendary, let me say this, the legendary early 90s Braves. That's Glavine, Smoltz, Maddox era stuff. Javi Lopez, Chipper Jones, David Just, those guys. Like, this is 91 Braves, like the best, one of the best teams in all of baseball.
I think it was before Andrew Jones. It was probably Fred McGriff.
Oh, this is Crime Dog era. This is Crime Dog. This is David Justice, Crime Dog, Chipper Jones, Javi Lopez, like that era of all those guys. Like that era, that team was amazing. That's when you and I just got into baseball at that point, like that era of baseball.
I mean, I wasn't born yet. So
I was born. You weren't, but you obviously know about that team because when you were early on your baseball years, that was, the trifecta, the holy trinity right there, those 3 guys.
Well, that was also the start of the whole run, right? Where the Braves always made the playoffs.
There's always in the playoffs. CBS was TS Superstation. You get Braves games all the time, and you could see Crime Dog, David Justice going absolute yard work on teams. And then you had Javi Lopez, one of the best catchers in all baseball behind the dish. And the Dodgers team, their pitching is wild. But
the starters didn't go that much. I mean, it was just mostly bullpens.
Right, the field players are immense on this team. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. They lost Rojas.
But Freeman was like an ankle injury. He was Freeman
couldn't shuffle to the bag. Joe Davis was saying last night.
Yeah.
Like any hit where they have to run to the bag, pitcher was supposed to run the pitcher was supposed to cover on every play to first. Which was a lot to ask. Even Will Smith was told you may have to cover. Like, it was a lot to put on Freeman, and we'll see how well he's playing when they start against the Mets, because that's tomorrow night. That's Sunday night that game is starting. But let's get to that. So let's Mets Dodgers, the battle of ratings.
I want to say this. This is my favorite series. This is
a TV ratings bonanza. These are 2 teams that came out the playoffs so differently.
And our friends at Fox, they'll probably be praying for a high viewership Game 7. Just get their ad sales number going, honestly.
Right, because if this series goes one way, we could have a Subway Series, World Series again.
Okay, well then you can't say you want the Guardians to win then if you want Subway
we could,
Series.
But I mean, I want the Guardians because then the Guardians are a better team. But there's a possibility now of a Subway Series World Series, which I always you can't. That just supersedes a lot of stuff. I don't want the Yankees. I think the Yankees will not win, but the Guardians. We're not making predictions on this podcast, but we are now. All right, to the Mets versus the Dodgers. Kodai Senga is going to try again in Game 1. However they use him, good luck. Whatever happens. Game 2, Manaea is going to pitch on the road, in Dodger Stadium, which I think is bad vibes for him a little bit.
Yeah, he did pitch for the Padres in 22, and then he pitched actually there during the pandemic, right? Playoff, because the Astros Oakland series was the home trip in Dodger Stadium.
Right,
yeah,
we talked about that. So,
and then I do want to mention back to Game 1, Jack Flaherty homecoming.
Jack Flaherty, the pitcher who was sent away by the Tigers at the headline, is a hometown kid now, playing for his hometown club. And he gets the ball in Game 1 at Dodger Stadium in the NLCS. Good luck. I hope it's a good game. Because the Mets can ruin you, but
And then head to head, Mets they only played each other since May, to be honest with you. And what Mets is 2-4 against the Dodgers.
That was before the Mets were good. No offense.
Yeah.
So the Mets' keys to victory is Lindor needs to do everything he's been doing and just keep it up. Don't bobble the ball. Don't commit the funny errors. And Lindor's your centerpiece. Keep it riding. Just keep it going. The supporting cast needs to do that. I mean, Pete Alonso's kind of in the middle between the supporting cast and Lindor at this point. He's always been there, but there are 9 guys off the bat. And if you get the ball to Lindor in a good position, good things can have happened. So I think that's going to matter significantly. The second thing is their pitching has been surprisingly quite good.
Especially since the second half. Manaea,
right.
Severino, I mean, even Peterson, as we mentioned.
David Peterson, my man, David Peterson. What that man has done since that final Sunday of the regular season has been remarkable. And whatever they choose, whatever they dream up with him in this round, could matter significantly because he has shown that he is up against anything. Like he'll do whatever he has to do. On the flip side, their bullpen cannot collapse. Like their bullpen has to stay strong because as we have seen, the Dodgers will not necessarily run you out every time. So if you keep it close,
Edwin Diaz needs to really be locked in.
Mm-hmm. Lock it in, lock it down at the end of the game. The Dodgers' keys to victory. Everybody needs to contribute. Your pitching is not as consistent we'd love it to be, but everyone needs to contribute. And that's Freddie Freeman. That's Shohei Ohtani. He's not going to carry to close to 50. Betts, the Hernandez twins.
I guess
cool. Keep it up. I
mean,
it's just a random thing to have 2 players named Hernandez start in both start. Both are trade piece of the somehow ended up there. Hernandez at Kike ended up back here for the first time in a while, but they just need to find a way to get where they need to go, and that's that. And then a good bullpen
and the defense too. I forgot to point out game 2 that play from Rojas where he just tried to take the back himself. For the double play, he should have flipped it to end it, and that game blew up in their face.
Well, Tommy Edman,
was
Tommy Edman when the Cardinals were in their era of greatness in the recent years. He was a great infielder.
Great second baseman. He was playing center field, and now I think he should just play shortstop. He just has a good hand.
He's good under pressure, so I think that's it. How many games do you think this one's going to go?
Oh, man. This one's a really tough one because I just can't predict the Mets. They're just too chaotic for me to predict. I say it's going to go 7.
I think it's going to go 7, too. I don't know who's going to win, but it's going the distance.
Yeah, I'm okay either way. I like both teams, I think, in this case.
I honestly think it's going to go 2-3, and then it's going to go 2. Yeah, 2. The home team's going to win every game, I think.
You think so? So the Dodgers
there's a possibility the home team will win every game. Yeah. It seems much more likely home field advantage matters, especially at Citi Field.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. It'll be interesting.
So that's next week. So that's it. Thanks for joining us on our postseason episode here, wherever you are watching or listening. Please be sure to subscribe. Remember, we always like to thank our lovely people, Cowboy Bob, Regular Virginia. Regular Virginia, Margaret Shelton, of course, the matriarch of all matriarchs there. The good boys and girls of Boone, Winnie, Bandit, Gatsby, Jake the dog, all of them, fluffy listeners. We are the #1 baseball podcast for your fluffy companions. And our plan is to do this work for the World Series. And it'll be just like this. And it's going to be an exciting week. Or a week and a half at this point, considering the schedule possibly. But until then, enjoy the baseball and don't get caught up too much in, the vibes. But the vibes are good. But we hope you enjoy the baseball. And we'll see you again quite soon. we're out.
I'm more excited for an LCS.